Hey Marken, this is Kyla. So thanks for asking me for your help. I really like the class that I'm taking and I understand why you'd ask me, so I really appreciate it. So it really depends on what exactly you need help with in school. If it's just general school or just studying exactly, which I'd assume would be what you're asking me because you're asking me this question. So I can't do anything for you if you don't want to try, because of course you need the perfect mindset for this situation. But if you're coming to me, then I'd assume that that's exactly what you're planning on doing. So first, I always think it's a great idea to make sure you know what you need to study in class. So make sure that you talk to your teachers and figure out what exactly it is that you're going to be learning in class. So I'd recommend talking to the teachers, of course your teachers, and figuring out what the exact curriculum is going to be on the test or the quiz or on the homework even, like that kind of stuff, you know. Let's say that you do a lesson in class, and then whenever you do that lesson in class, you're going to take it home and you're going to do stuff for homework on that lesson that you took in class. Maybe your teachers will send out PowerPoints to you if they have them in class. I'm sure they'd be willing to do that because my teachers do that as well. Of course, you can't play the game without picking up the controller, right? So it's time to pick up and play that game and get the responsibility into your own hands and try to figure that out. Now, once you know all the curriculum you need to know, I think you should find out what system works best for you and how you can study efficiently. Things like index cards, mnemonics, sorry, I always have trouble saying that word. Mnemonics, different note-taking skills, and definitely organization skills. I've always had problems with organization, and then once I started this class, I got a lot better at it. So I think it's a great help to make sure you know how to organize things such as filing systems, the binders, of course. I have binders for each of my classes, that kind of thing. Folders, binders, notebooks. I love post-its and those like little cards. Those are my favorite. I really like index cards for studying. They're a lot of help. There's online index cards, like there's websites like Quizlet, for example, and there's a Chegg interaction like thing too. But on Quizlet, it's actually my favorite that I use that's not handwritten, even though I like to handwrite, and many teachers recommend that I handwrite it because it's easier to remember it. So, sorry, that was a weird noise, but anyways. So Quizlet also has a lot of stuff online, like little you can type, especially because it is online, it's going to be on the computer, so you can type the answers. There's little games that you can play. You can make like your own pre-made tests as long as you put what you want to put on the front and you want to put on the back. And also it helps it does autocorrect. Sorry, it autocorrects, so it's a lot easier that way too, so you don't have to throw away a note card every single time you mess up. That's my favorite personally. And so okay, organization, I always think is the base of all of it, because even if you get so far as doing your homework, you want to make sure that you have it ready to turn into your teacher the next day when the time comes. There's all that different stuff that you can do, and so many different organization skills and organization things that can help out, like anytime you go to an Office Depot or you go to the store. What we have here is Office Depot in Florida, but I mean, of course, it depends on where you're going to be going or whatever, even though I know you go to the same school as me. So, like I said, index cards are my personal favorite, but I always prefer to handwrite them. From what I've read, it's better to write it yourself because it's kind of like, you're thinking about it and you're writing about it, you're learning how to spell it as well, you're doing all that different kind of stuff, which you might need to do, especially if you're doing index cards. But of course, there's lots of different stuff. I mean, you have to learn the way that you're best at learning, because not everyone's gonna like index cards as much as I do. Not everyone's going to like, Cornell notes or something. There's, there are different kinds of notes, and there's all that different kind of stuff. Like, it really depends on your personal preference. So, mnemonics are also extremely helpful. They're little things that you're trying to memorize, like complicated lists or complicated things such like that. Maybe you're learning the 50 states or something, or maybe you're learning in math. Like, everyone knows PEMDAS. The parentheses, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which stands for parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, and subtract. So, of course, everyone always remembers that, and I've known that since I think I was in 5th grade, and it's been a while, and I know that you probably know it as well. And so, PEMDAS is a mnemonic. And so it's kind of stuff that you use to remember exactly what you're trying to learn, and it's easier that way because you'll remember please excuse my dear Aunt Sally instead of PEMDAS for the most part, just letters. So that's also extremely helpful. And lastly, I like to encourage you to look at your notes and your note-taking skills. I mean, do you try to write down everything, or do you just not write anything at all and hope it just sticks in your brain? because that's really one of the key factors of that kind of stuff. Because even if you don't take notes, or you do take notes, if you don't take notes in class, how is it possible to go home and study if you don't know the correct curriculum that your teacher has given you? So taking effective notes is extremely important in your classes, because how would you be able to study at all for the big test if you don't know what you're learning? So there's stuff like Cornell notes, there's little different organizers like graphing and graphs, and all this different stuff, like the Venn diagrams. There's lots of different note-taking skills. So it's really up to you on what you want to do, and you can search them up online. Of course, there's lots and plenty, but Cornell notes are the most efficient, is what people have said. But of course, it's really up to what you think. So I think that I hope you do great. This is all the stuff that I've learned so far in my class, so I'm sure later on I'll be able to help you a little bit more. But as of right now, I'm doing great in my classes, and I hope that this has helped you a bit. So I'll see you around.